Okay, now I can record.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start as if you just got a notice that something's been assigned to you. If that sounds like a logical way to start.
Mhm.
So
And then can you share your screen?
yes. Oh, let me share my screen first before I do that.
Hello, Alan and Nan. I don't know how long you're in the waiting room. We were talking flowers. My apologies.
No worries.
Where's my share? Oh, there. Oh, it's that green button. Sorry. Okay, so this is a notice that came to me. Since I'm the so-called owner of the site, I get everything, which is fine. I could change that if I want. But so you'll get this email in, and you want to scroll down to the purple button that says View Task. Is my voice coming through okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
So you're saying I will get an email notifying me of anything I'm supposed to be doing.
That gets assigned to you. I can go back. It'll look like oops, there. I just where'd it go? It'll come in as an Aquilegia workspace.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And so you click on that, and you just I don't have. Let's see. I don't have images automatically displayed, but so you click down until you see this purple View Task. Okay, somebody's in the chat. What are they saying?
I can watch the chat. Oh, it's
Okay.
just Nan saying that she'll chat with us.
Okay. So I click on that, and what's going to happen is you might get something like this, right? So what's important when you get this, what's important to remember is that you really need to log in first.
Oh,
So
I remember seeing that message. Is that what the
Right.
problem was?
right. So here I've logged in. So now if I go back to this message and say View Task, it should take me right to it. And
Which means that ClickUp doesn't automatically log you in when you see a link and you go to it.
right.
Yeah.
Right, and I asked him to actually, I mentioned that to him that that was a problem, that it should say something like please log in first or something, but it doesn't do that. So if you log in first and then click on the task, it'll take you right to where you're supposed to go.
Mhm.
And so you should see something that looks like this. And this is one that Alan he's gone through it already. And then he's loaded his modifications back into it using this add button, where you would upload your edited file. And then he assigned Kathy Schramm as to this particular task.
And then is there any file naming convention, like so you know what version you're on?
So what I've been trying to do is put the author of the article first. And then what we've been doing so far is whenever we modify the article, at the end of the title, we put underscore in our initials. So if you
Kelly, I have to jump in here since we're looking at this article. I just happened to notice that there's a second one with the same name in the list of tasks, and I was wondering how that might have gotten there.
This is actually not the same name. If you hover your mouse over where you see the beginning of the name.
No, I'm sorry. It was in the list of tasks. There were like 53 items. If you go to the list, it looks like there are two separate designations for that story, and one of them just has my initials, and the other has mine and also Kathy's.
Okay, I'll go back and look at that.
Okay, all right, sorry.
But let's just stop. Let's right here. Let's stay on this page.
Yeah,
So you can see this is the article that had gone through a first read, and then I added it, and I sent it back to the author, and so I'm the only one that looked at his modification. So that's the reason why it only has my initials over it. And then Alan copy edited it, and he put copy edited at the end of his title. That's fine, or you can use your initials. I think for the proofreaders and first readers, I think just putting your initials at the end of the article is a good way to go. Does that make sense to everybody?
So we're not really making changes, though. We're making comments indicating what the changes would be, right?
So especially for you, Elizabeth, I think if you see name changes that you're happy with, I think you can change those without a problem. My goal is eventually to get to the point where that people can make all of their changes without having somebody else to go over it. Or Alan has volunteered to incorporate all the different proofreaders' comments. But certainly on the first read, I would just assume that on the botanical names, Elizabeth, I would just assume you'd go through those and do them, whether you're, and if you have a concern, you can put that as a comment.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Sometimes there's a controversy over a name,
Right.
and then I'll put a comment there, and I'm
Right.
going to let somebody else make the decision. But if it's routine, it's just a spelling error or something, I'll just fix it.
Right. Or if it now has a new name or something like that,
Yeah.
the name's been upgraded. Especially like with Jim Borland's articles, a lot of those are several years old, so he may be using older nomenclature.
Yeah, and if it's a quote from an old article, I shouldn't change the old name. So I'm trying to be very, very sensitive about why an old name shows up.
Right. No, that's a great thing.
And as a pretty ignorant person, I'm going to ask, would it be potentially appropriate I agree with not changing something that's in a quote, obviously, but would it be potentially appropriate maybe the first time the scientific name of a plant comes up, if it's changed recently, to include both, so that those of us who are reading and don't know the new nomenclature can know, oh, that's that plant that I love.
Right. I think that's a perfectly good example of and that, so I don't know how you would want to do it, Elizabeth, but you could put the old name in parentheses, AKA or something, and then put
if I was quoting something, I'd leave the old name in the text.
Right.
Yes.
The name in parentheses with a, yeah.
So one example would be Mahonia repens, which it's my personal grudge. I really don't like it being moved into Berberis, but but at any rate, that's what it is now. So the first time you mention it, you would change that to Berberis repens, but then in parentheses put AKA or previously known as Mahonia repens.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would, go ahead. Sorry. I was just going to say, yay, thank you.
Okay. So I would say that for at least an issue or two, if I could see the suggested changes, especially on the first readers, I would appreciate that. But my goal would be eventually to not have to do that kind of oversight, because you guys are the words expert, not me. And I think that, once we all agree that we're working in the right pattern for Aquilegia, then I think that everybody can go on their own. But that's where we are right now. Okay, so let's go back to the main list. So because I clicked, it's only showing that task. I have a very short list here, right? But if I go over here and click on, so we're in, I've changed the name, we're in 46.1, Winter 2022 issue. Unfortunately, when I set this up, I could only do it in folders, but I think now you can have the list without folders. And so at any rate, you still, if you get it and it looks like this, you have to click on folder to expand everything. Or you can click on this little triangle, which will also give you a more expansive, show you what all the different tasks are. So for this one, these are all these different tasks. Now, a lot of these are things that I've rearranged in the next issue. So for example, let's see, wait a second. I should have clear filter. So the other thing is that sometimes it won't show you the completed tasks, and I'm not. So I guess since I don't have anything in 6 months, that's why it's not there. Okay, sorry, I'm rambling. At any rate, something like this, request author bios, can go down somewhere else, but these are kind of things that, as a managing editor, I've been doing. And so as owner of the article things, I haven't been assigning myself, but I could certainly do that. Or if I wanted somebody else, say Maggie, to send emails to the board of directors, I could assign the tasks to her. And so I would click on this, and then it would bring up all the people that are in this group, and I could add somebody, whoever I wanted to add to that assignment. And I can even actually do that now. So if we go to the next issue, where we have some articles but can use some more, I can go up to solicit articles. Okay, so I'm going to add Maggie to that. And so now Maggie appears on as one of the people that is assigned to this task, and she'll get an email saying you've been assigned this task. Okay, so back to this issue, a lot of the things have been completed. Some say in progress. It's a little ad hoc right now because I've been changing things, and so not everything is completely up to date. And actually, here's another one Maggie said she was going to compile, so I'm going to put her on this as well because she's already getting that information. And I'll put in progress now. Okay.
So Kelly,
Mm-hmm.
I have a quick question, and if you're going to talk about this a little later, just tell me, and you don't have to spend time on it. But what I was always a little bit unsure of when during the last issue that we did, when I do what I'm supposed to do I change the progress on that or the status to complete, or is it supposed to just?
No, that's a great thing to bring up. So, for example, you're doing a lot of first reads here on all of these conference summaries that I've uploaded, and you assigned some to Sue and some to the two Sues. So at this point, you would just load them back. You would load your modified article back into the same task, and I'll get an email saying that you've done that.
Okay.
And now, when we get to the point where I'm no longer having to look at those things, I would look at everything at the end, but I don't need to look at things during the process. If you would, normally you would be the only person up here, maybe besides me. And at that point, you would click, you've loaded up your edited article, it's ready to go for copy edit. You would click complete.
Okay, but we
So
don't.
right now, the only people that need to worry about clicking complete are me and Alan.
Okay.
And
Thank
after, and Kelly, after Patty would click complete, would she then designate or tag my initials after hers, or
So I have set up
or
an
any of the first readers, including Patty?
Yeah, Patty's just because she's here and she's
Yeah.
a good example. Well, so let's review material on hand. Okay, so I'm now just looking at this. I have what's called a automation on here. So when you see these little 3 dots, if you click on that, all sorts of different stuff comes up, and you can do different things with this particular task. So I could duplicate it, I could move it, but the big thing I've done is I've done an automation, and I have set up an automation that when it works right, it will, sorry, the little box with people keeps getting in my way. Actually, see, I wanted this to, when it gets moved to complete, it will move this, it will duplicate this list, this task, and it will send it to ready for copy edit. Okay, so,
Yeah.
and I save. So theoretically, when everything's working right, and it's taken me a little time to set these automations up, but so I'll get these edits back, and I'll get these edits back, and I will look through and I'll decide, yes, everything looks good. I'll load up my edits, and I'll click complete, and it should automatically then move it into your list down here, copy edit. And now I have set up a couple of automations here. Okay, so one is I change, so the first thing is when this task gets moved here, it's supposed to change the status to do from complete. Does that make sense? Or duplicated here?
No, I'm not sure it does. Sorry.
Okay, so because so the task, I want that to, okay, the task is duplicated, and moved into this location, but it's going to come with the same assignment from its previous location. So since I changed the status to complete, it'll come into this new complete status as complete, but it's really not. It's now ready for you to do something.
Yeah.
So I ask it, so I put in an automation that as soon as this assignment comes in there, it should be changed to, the status should be, say, to do instead of complete. Okay, so now
Yes.
when you get the announcement, the email, it'll say, you've been assigned this and it needs doing. And
Okay.
then,
But
the other thing is that I've set up an automation that you are now assigned to this task.
Got it.
And the final status change is, or final automation is that when you, Alan, click complete, this will send it, will duplicate it, or I haven't changed these yet. It will duplicate it and send it over to ready for layout.
Okay, but I only click complete after I've sent it off to the proofreader. They've sent it back to me, and in this issue, if we can, I'll send it to a second proofreader.
Well,
And
it sends it simultaneously.
Okay, all right.
So Alan, you kind of answered a general question I have in my head. So there shouldn't be a time when two people are simultaneously editing the same thing, right?
No,
If our
it can
process-
be. It can be. Because
Yeah.
that's what then somebody has to be responsible for incorporating all those edits. And now maybe one thing, especially with botanical names, I'm trying to think of a way to expedite it. Well, maybe with botanical names, we could send it to Kurt first, to you, Elizabeth, very early in the process, and so that you can make those changes before anybody else does, or you send them back to me.
I just want to make sure that we don't have two people. I mean, if I'm actually making changes, then nobody's going to see what the changes I made were.
I see. So you should get it before it goes out to a next round. So in this round, I won't. In this round, why don't we? You have it. You send it to me. Send it to ready for layout. I'll send it to you when it's ready for layout, and you can make the changes at that point.
Okay.
And I won't do anything else until I get your changes.
Yeah, I think inevitably there are going to be times where something slips through that gets edited two different ways. I remember managing US West and CenturyLink's technical documentation group, that two different people would be editing it and it would get published and we'd go, oh no, how did that happen? So
right.
We'll try to prevent that.
And maybe I can add to the discussion on workflow. It just seems, let's say that I've gotten the article from the first readers, and I looked through it, and then I send it off simultaneously. What if I've missed, say, 10 things, and now each of those proofreaders has to take the time to correct those 10 things, whereas if I send it to one, they'll make the corrections, and then when it gets to the next person, they don't have to make the same corrections on the copy. I know it extends the time out a little bit more, but I think in terms of maybe catching things or not duplicating time, maybe that would be a possibly better way to do it.
I don't know. Well, I have an article in the list that you sent out, Kelly, that you assigned to me, and then we broke them out. And one of them has a chart in it with plants that are botanical name, common name, and I think it's S1 and S2, I think, or S1, D1 or whatever. But I'm not, because I remember saying that I don't know all those. I wasn't planning on proofreading those and doing the research to make sure they're correct, because I thought, isn't that your role, Kurt, that you're going to be?
If there's, I'm not Kurt, I'm Elizabeth. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, I thought it was a nickname. I thought,
no.
Well, I called it Kurt as a joke, and that's always what confused you.
No, Kurt is my husband, and I use his computer for Zoom meetings because I'm very hard of hearing, and I can hear better on hers. And so I say, if I'm Kurt, I've got to have a beard and a mustache. No, that's quite all right. But no, if there's like a table of scientific names, I'm going to check everything. I'm a little cautious about changing common names because the author uses a common name that's appropriate for them, and we all know there's not one correct common name, but scientific names I'll be very picky about, and common names I'll at least do a sanity check on and make sure they're spelled right. And I mean, there's a lot of silly little things, like when there's var in the name, it will be italicized, and I've got to make sure it's not. It's just little stuff like that.
Well, see, that's why I am not going to.
I'll do that.
Okay, great.
Right. Yeah. And the same with Alan. You shouldn't be spending any time on botanical names.
I don't want to hold things up, but on the other hand, just if it helps to have an extra pair of eyes, I'll try to dig into it. But just because we don't all catch everything. But
Okay.
thank you. I totally trust Elizabeth's work, but if I can help out by maybe just looking at it myself, I don't mind doing it. So we'll just, as time allows, I guess, huh?
Yeah,
Just
so
wait-
let's go back
just
to your
wait till
original question.
we have to call onions asparagus, and then people are really going to wonder if my head needs to be examined. But I'm not changing any of those until Ackerfield changes them. I'm keeping
Right,
the way Ackerfield says right now.
Well, yeah, that's that's what this has taught me is I'm a lumper. I'm a splitter, not a lumper.
Oh yeah, and it's not onion, it's yucca, isn't it? Yucca and sand lilies that are now asparagus, but
Well,
I
think
won't
so.
call them that until she updates her
Right.
manual.
But so go back to your original question, Alan.
Yeah.
Because we're sort of on a short time space,
Yes.
and that's my fault. I really apologize. Let's try to send, if you could send things out to two people simultaneously and then incorporate both their changes
Sure.
before you send it to me.
Okay.
For the next issue, if we're not running close on time, why don't you do what you're suggesting and do it sequentially? And when you do that, you'll need to remember to remove the first person as a watcher, because otherwise they'll get a notice as well, I think. So they don't want to get a notice that says something needs doing when they've already done it.
So
Okay.
in for this time at least, I should probably leave track changes on, and then you can see what I did and make sure it's not conflicting with the other person.
Okay. Okay.
Is that okay?
If you want, actually, Elizabeth, don't worry about that, because I'm going to send you the copy I get from Alan that's ready for layout.
Okay.
So it won't be going to anybody else at that time.
Okay.
But in the future, what I'll try to do is I'll try to send that to you much earlier in the process, pretty much as soon as the article comes in. And I was trying to have it cleaned up so you wouldn't have to worry about proofing it, proofing edits. But so the articles you get may be dirtier when you get them.
That's fine. You know me, if I see something that's not a scientific name that needs to be fixed, I fix it, because I'm an old tech writer and documentation department manager, and I cannot resist. But I'm not going to read everything in detail. I'm only going to look for scientific names.
Okay. Yeah, and another way we might do it, maybe after the first readers go through it, maybe we can do it at that point. So we'll put an intermediate layer in between you and Alan. Maybe that's what we should do. And then that way it should be a cleaner read for you, and they won't pay any attention to the scientific names. Okay, does that sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Okay, so we started me and the two Sues do our thing. We upload whatever changes. We don't have to change any status, right?
Correct. Okay. Not yet.
It'll push right to you as soon as we load it back up.
Oh, correct. I'll get an email notification that you've added something to that task.
Yay. Perfect. Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Because I think I clicked complete on a couple last year, and I'm going, I don't know if I should have done that. Does it bypass Kelly now, or
Well, I'll still get a notice one way or the other.
Yeah,
if you
put
can
my name up on the wall.
It'll send it over to Alan before it's actually ready to go to Alan.
Okay. Well, you can put me on the wall of shame,
I could create that, a document in here. So I'm going to go back to the full list. So I've assigned it these funky little colors and little icons. That's just, that's probably not something that's really critical. It just sort of helps visually set them apart.
Okay.
Now,
Kelly, may I ask about where in the process the peer reviews would be? Or if you're sending them out, these articles out to the board for their input, at what point would you figure that we would incorporate their changes?
so the board has never changed anything, the review board.
Yeah,
I could send it to them at any point in time. I usually try to have at least some editing gone through. So, for example, I just sent everything off to the board that's already been done, and some of the things that even haven't been done, just to get it out. I don't expect them to do any editing. They're just going to tell me, oh, please don't put in. This is the example from the very first issue that I worked on that almost didn't get the issue out because of it. Somebody put in one of their articles that Catholics need to not have so many children.
What?
ouch.
I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that was the implication. And that really, really, really offended one of the people that on the board of directors, because that was our first issue. So we sent it to the board before we sent it out. I mean, it was like a major kerfuffle. And, we were trying to do this. We volunteered to do it. We were trying to get it out fast. We weren't editing for content at all. We were just trying to get everything into a form that could be sent out to the reader, our members. And that's how the review board was created. They're looking for things like that. And maybe I should include things like the cartoons, so that if maybe somebody would have caught the cartoon that caused such a kerfuffle last time.
It just went because it didn't have a scientific name in it.
Oh, that's funny. Really, it can go to the scientific. It can go to the sort of the oversight board at any time. The scientific review needs to happen somewhere between getting the article in and ready for copy edit. So on one hand, if the timeline's good enough, having it gone through a first read first, and then sending it out for scientific review, to me makes the most sense. Because that way the science reviewer won't be having to struggle through what in the heck are they trying to say in this paragraph. But right now it's sort of the timeline's all messed up for this issue, so don't worry about it for this issue. But that's where I would put it in here. And so maybe what I would want to do is see how this is a little bit better timeline. I've tried to straighten out the timeline for the next issue. And so maybe what I should do is put another step in here, and I can do that. Let's see, plus. So I'm going to add a new task, a new list. So each of these little sections, rather than we call them tasks, they're lists. This is a list. So I'm going to add a new list, and now I have to move you guys again. And I'm going to call it ready for scientific review. Okay, so it's going to create that list. And now I will give it some time, some tasks. And sorry, I'm trying to move you guys. Where did it go? Okay, well, you guys aren't moving. I apologize. I guess I moved you into some place that it doesn't like. So I'm going to give so I'll say feature story 1. Okay. Now feature story 2, and so on and so forth. I'll add all of those. So now what it's when the review first read material is completed, we'll kick it over to ready for scientific review. And okay, so, and then we can, and it hasn't appeared immediately here, has it?
Oh, there it is.
Okay, so this initial editing, I don't know why that's there. Oh, there we go. Okay, so scientific reviews needs to go down here, right here.
Mhm.
And so what I'll do is I'll change this automation so that when things get complete, it kicks over to scientific review. And when it's done with scientific review, it goes to ready for copy edit.
Great.
And then the way I have it set up, when you're done with what your copy edit, it'll kick over to ready for proofreading, and that's when you give it a new assignment.
So, Kelly, when the folks who are doing the scientific review, when they've seen it, I wonder if you need to see their comments before it kicks to me.
That's my idea. I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that and
Just
so
to
what
incorporate it, so you've seen their whatever comments they might have.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So what I think we can do on that is when I kick it over to them, it'll say to do. When they load it up for me, they can say in progress, and that'll let me know that they're working on it. Then when I'm done, I would change it to, I don't know what this ready is, to complete.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way we'll work that.
Yeah.
And maybe, and actually going back to what you were saying, maybe that's what we should do on these first reads and all, is I shouldn't put in progress until, and Patty, you would change it to in progress when you've downloaded the document.
Okay, that
and
makes sense.
have started working on it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yep.
And the same, for botanical name review, Elizabeth, you could do that as well. You could change the status. Well, let's see, do we have something that's not complete?
Maybe that's what ready means, that you put ready and that triggers it to the proofreaders or whatever.
Right.
And then we put in progress when we're done.
Right. So example, I think did I ask, no, that's the wrong place. My apologies, I'm at the wrong. Okay, I see what you're talking about. Oh, this is what you were asking. It's in the wrong place, Alan. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to go through it. I've been moving things around so many times that some of the things are not right. Okay, so I assign this to Kathy, and see, I don't know why you're here. I should take you off of this. It's not ready for you. I think this is where some of the automations are not working perfectly. I either don't have them set up right, or I've been fooling around so much that things are sort of out of whack. So hopefully the next issue, you won't be getting as many emails. And
Sorry, Kelly, I have seen that one, and that's the one I passed on to Kathy.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So never mind. I'm in the wrong place.
There is another one by the same name that just has the one, I think it just has my initials on it.
Okay. Okay, so Alan, you should probably change this to in progress when you download the documents and start working on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we'll set up another. So we'll set it up here that an automation that when you click complete, it'll move it over here to proofreading, and you can assign a new person to it.
Yeah, and then when they've seen it, now
When
what
they
if I
approve-
just kept it, what if I just kept it in progress and they keep it in progress so that when they send it back and I sign off on and have seen their changes, then I can hit complete and then it would kick over to you.
However you want to do it. If you just want to work with it, if you just want to work with it all in here,
Yeah,
so like this story here, if so, I've uploaded it. So you have it when you start working on it, put in progress. If you want to work with the proofreaders, just right through here, that's okay.
yeah.
We can see how it goes.
I will send them an email, a separate email telling them that that it's done and ready for them.
Actually, you don't even have to do that. If you can go in here, and you can put a comment here, as I did here. Alan, this
Yeah.
is one of two articles ready for copy edit.
Yeah,
So they'll get that as an email. So
Yeah.
you can do that all right in here. You don't need to send them a separate email.
right. Then at least they'll know that I've seen it rather than
Mhm.
if they see in progress, they might think I'm still looking at it, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But you could just put that right in here.
Yeah, good.
And so the way you do that, you see this little @ down here?
Yeah,
You want to make sure that somebody gets notice. You put this @ and then here's all the people that it can go, you could choose. Am I on here? Well, I guess I'm not on there. I should be on there. Okay. Well, I was going to send one to myself. At any rate, I was going to try to send one to myself to show you how it, so we click on the @ why does it not? I guess I can't send a message to myself. Okay, never mind. I was going to send a message to myself and then go back to my email and show you what that message looked like. But that's not happening. I can do this. Let's see if we, okay, here, I'll just put me as, I'll add me as a watcher there, okay? And now, oops, sorry, that's gonna ring for a few minutes. And okay, okay, so, nope, that's a different thing, sorry. I need another, at any rate, it'll come in as Aquilegia workspace.
okay.
And that way it's all in one place and you're not having to go back and forth between different things. And it also will tell you then that you'll have right there with that task, the comment, the email that you sent to somebody. And so you'll know whether you've actually communicated with them or not in the same place where the task is.
Great.
Can we do that too, Kelly? Like, just
Yeah,
put
like
Kelly Alan, so you get that email that says,
right. Or, let's say you've, when we go back to that first, so these summaries, let's say that you had that you've loaded something up, but you had a question about it. You could just, click that @ and then choose me or whoever you want to have a look at it. Maybe you want it to go for scientific review before it comes to me.
okay.
You could, the people that will be on the scientific review subcommittee, you could send it to one of them and say, could you please take a look at this before I finish editing it? And you could choose their name.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So is this more or less making sense how you navigate between the different sections and what, that, you know, I may have to do some tidying for this next issue, just to make sure the workflow is smooth and the direction we want it to go. But we'll continue to work on that. I wanted to show you a couple other things. If you see this little triangle down here next to these icons, so I put my photo in there, and I put the CONIPS logo as the logo for the workspace. Click on that little triangle, and you get a whole set of different things that you can change. So a big one here is notifications. If you click on notifications, you can change how you get those notifications. So, for example, maybe I don't want it to let me know anytime that something's been, when I'm in the browser, I don't need a notification that something's happening. But you know, if I've got a comment signed to me, yes, I want to be noticed. If I'm mentioned in a comment, yes, I want to be noticed. Now, you guys, you know, here, most of you probably don't want to have any new comment that's put out. You probably don't want a notification unless it involves you. You would click that off.
Mm-hmm.
So that you're not receiving everything. And so here I have, I want to be notified on all new tasks. And I don't know if, I think you would, I don't think you would be necessarily need that. If you may not want to be notified when an assignee changes. So for example, for the first readers, when it gets sent over for copy edit, I'm going to remove you as an assignee and put Alan on as an assignee, and you don't really need to know that. You only need to know when a task gets assigned to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you can go through and select which of these notifications you want to receive. And Alan, especially, you were talking about you were getting too many. You know, turn most of those things off that you don't need to hear about.
Yeah.
You know, just like ClickBot notifications. That's what the automations are called. Turn that off. You don't need to know most of you don't need to be contacted on those things.
Mm-hmm.
You can also change your settings. So, okay, so that's why is this? Maybe let's go back. I'm not sure what that is. So if I go to my settings there, so I can put my full name, my email. If I want to change my password, I can, if you want to have two-step notification, which I don't do, you can change your color theme, whatever you want. You can change how the time of the week and your calendars are displayed. You can, if, so fly at toast message, I don't know if you saw, but when I changed, excuse me, status, a little message showed up here telling me I changed the status and I could undo it if I wanted to. I turned off, don't post comments with enter, because sometimes I want to put a space and start a new paragraph in my comments. So I put that don't post comments with enter. If you're not doing that, if you know, when you click enter, it'll automatically send the comment.
Oh.
Now, the other thing that I like is I've put it in, I've gone into dark mode. And so this is the regular mode. And so I found that the dark mode is a little easier on my eyes. Oops, sorry. Are you guys seeing anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
like
I've
show celebrations. I want to see that. Inbox 0. Yay.
so I put mine in dark mode. I find to me, it's much easier on my eyes.
Yeah.
But
Good
that is your personal preference. We don't have any teams. We could make up teams if you want. Some of these settings you can't. You can't change in this version because this is the free version. And so if
So Kelly, I was trying to turn off those clickbot notifications as you had mentioned, but I'm not getting any traction. I'm not getting any response.
it's not changing the little.
Where do I, is there a central command that I go to be able to?
So you go to here, right here, you go to notifications.
Yeah.
You click this little tiny triangle.
Yeah.
Go to notifications, and it's
Yeah.
going to pull up this page. If you then scroll down to, let's see, where was that?
I think it's toward the bottom, at least on mine, it was.
Click apps. There we go. Let's start and do that. I'm sorry.
You keep going down. I think it's farther.
Oh, here, click bot notifications. So if you click on this little purplish, or maybe a different color in yours.
Yeah.
If you click on this little check mark, it doesn't.
Oh, it turns it off. Okay. Got it. That's great.
So, and again, like I said, you can do that for email. If you put your mobile in it, you can put that in it. I don't know, web and app. I'm not quite sure what that means as opposed to browser. Maybe there's a separate app and I guess I normally work with it in my browser. Let's see, we have a chat.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so yes, you can do that.
Great. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Now, does anybody have any other specific questions? I think that was what I planned on covering in terms of just sort of taking you through the basic steps. There's a heck of a lot more you can do with it, but we won't be necessarily using all of that. One other point, if you go up here to notifications here, this will bring up a page where all of your current notifications are. So again, I have to move you guys.
So you can you see the second document there, Kelly, on those where it says restoration?
So this is just my notification. This is notifying me. So if I go and I click on this, let's see, if I click on the title here, it now takes me to that task, and if I scroll down on the left side of the page, I can see the second document that you loaded up. And so it has your initials on it that tells me you loaded this, as opposed to my icon, which tells me I loaded this document. And if you hover over the document name, it gives you the full name, and you can see what that full name is.
Well, I couldn't understand why if you go back, why I'm seeing the two separate documents. If you just back up a step, I was seeing two listings for restoration roundup.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
Okay, yeah, so we're on notifications. And if you want to go back to your list, you go to spaces. You click on spaces, and that drops your list.
Yeah.
This what you're talking about, Ellen, is probably something my fault, and I have to go through and look through it very carefully. I think I must have duplicated something accidentally.
No worries on that front. I just want to make sure I'm not I wasn't missing something. I just went with what looked like the more recent one
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
worked on that.
that's good. So I will go through all of that and make sure that everything looks clean. But that's a specific problem, and it's probably because I was moving things around and trying to sort of streamline, and I probably goofed up somewhere.
No worries that way. I just wanted to be sure
Yeah.
I hadn't duplicated it myself or what. It's fine.
Any other questions?
I don't think so.
This is so helpful. Really appreciate you. It just makes it seem so much clearer. Thank you.
Yeah, and I went and watched some of those so-called beginner videos, and they're really good. They were good for me because I was setting up things, but
Right.
they're not necessarily good for the people that don't have to set it up, but are actually just interacting with it.
Right.
Totally
right.
agree. I watched
And
a couple and I was just completely lost.
Yeah.
So thank
And-
you.
Yeah, I didn't. I looked through and I couldn't find one that I thought really did what we did today. So
Yeah. Perfect.
I would ask if anybody sees something that that I've done, have missent, don't hesitate to let me know, because I'm feel like I'm still working a little bit in the dark. So I don't mind somebody, just saying, hey, maybe you need to send it over here. Are you sure you wanted to do this? Just so
I think we're with you,
I
Alan.
think
'cause
we're all
I-
like that.
Yeah.
I may end up sending you an email saying, okay, I got the document, I downloaded it, I reviewed it. Now I don't know what to do with it. I mean,
Right.
you're going to get emails like that from me, believe me.
yeah,
We
and
should all feel free to do that with each other.
right.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
Okay.
supposed to be.
And don't hesitate to contact me either. It's time up front, but in the long run, it saves time to get those things answered as soon as they come up. So
Mhm.
And it's the same way on copy too. If something looks just weird, don't think that it was sent through with. Don't think that you can't ask. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, never.
And I feel the same way. I know Kelly was talking about the first readers, that you could go ahead and make those changes without feeling that Kelly needed to see everything. I feel the same way on copy, that you don't have to spend a lot of time. If you see things that you're confident are wrong, you can go ahead and change those things. If you're not quite sure, you could just put it in boldface and put a query on it. It's fine.
yeah, but if you're sending out things simultaneously, you probably don't want to do that right now, Alan.
Yeah.
But for future reference, yes, we should be able to be free to make changes. But like I said, this issue and and certainly the next issue,
Right.
I would like to review the first reads because I just I want to make sure that we're changing things in a way that sort of fits with our overall plan.
Mhm.
And that's open to modification too. Please let me know if you think something needs to be, our style needs to be done better. We need to change the voice to a different way, or if, the layout, you think a different layout would work better. I mean, anything that you think could improve the magazine, please let me know, because I'm doing this as an amateur. I'm learning by the seat of my pants. I don't claim to be any expert here.
I think there's just a philosophy or a kind of a stance that you learn when you're in writing or publishing, that criticism of something in a document or the way something was done is not a criticism of you. It's an
Right.
attempt to make things better. So let's all share anything that we have questions about like that. And we don't need to be nasty and say, you idiot. We just need to say, I don't understand this, you know, and,
Right,
and
right.
I promise I have very thick skin. I mean, writing things for the military and getting comments from
Oh,
a
wow.
three-star general about using the word, what an idiot I was. My skin is awfully thick. So tell me anything.
Yeah,
Okay.
Would it work if I sent out we have a style sheet. It really is a work in progress, but at least there's something there that you might be able to find helpful if you're going through stories. So I can send people the most current.
yeah, you
That would
sent
be
it out when we first started, but if it's been updated, it'd be great to have the latest one.
Yeah.
What
I'll
you
do
sent me,
that.
Ellen, was rather abbreviated compared to the first one. But we can, that certainly, I was going to wait for this issue to get out. And I thought that was something we could sort of try to finalize with our style sheet.
Yeah.
Well, I basically incorporated what was in the original style sheet with whatever I was able to add. So it incorporates both of those things. At least it might give somebody something to hang on. And I would welcome people to add things to it.
I would like that a lot because I know that different style sheets do some things that are pretty common in different ways. I'd like that. When I was teaching at OSU, my students were all seniors in different fields, and I had to use the style sheet appropriate to their field in reviewing the documents. So I'm looking at the CBE and I'm looking at the engineering and the math and all this. What's correct in one student's paper is wrong in another, and to make you pull your hair. This is why my dark brown hair is white now.
Before we go, I just want to show you one other thing. If you go up to the top, you see these different little names. This is just different ways of displaying the data. So this is how you can display this as a task as opposed to a list. You can have it displayed as your calendar. This Gantt view is another way of displaying it. These are just different ways of displaying things. For me, I find the list the easiest to use, but not everybody does. So you can change the look depending on what you find is the easiest to use.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm good with the list.
Yeah, the list makes the most sense to me, but you could play around with it and look at that and see if something else works better for you.
Yeah.
I want to come back to the style sheet for a second. I'm sorry. And at risk of sounding extremely lazy, if Elizabeth and others are going to be thinking about the style sheet, do I really need to be thinking about that?
Probably not, Jennifer. Your background's not so much in publishing, right?
Right. It's science.
Yeah. So a lot of these other people that are here have had a lot more journalistic or editorial or that type of experience. So I'm relying on them personally because I can say certain things like there's one thing that came up. I prefer U.S. without periods. It looks cleaner.
Where do you put a comma?
Yeah, there's certain things that I personally like better. And if everybody agrees that's bogus and doesn't look good, then fine. I'm outvoted on that. But that's not my expertise either, Jennifer. So don't feel bad. It's not being lazy. I'd rather your efforts go to things that you feel are your strengths.
Okay, thanks.
one of the most important things about a style sheet is that it makes your document look consistent from the beginning to the end. And to me, consistency is one thing that makes it look professional. If, you know, the punctuation is done differently in one article than the next.
Or even from one paragraph to the next.
It's annoying to me. Oh, yeah.
Right.
And it sounds like, it
Okay.
sounds like I can rest in the knowledge that people who have experience with that sort of thing are going
Right.
to take responsibility.
Right.
Yeah,
I just want to
it's
say
only,
one-
it's really there for you to just use if you need it, like dashes and like dashes or hyphens. We do, I think we're using the same dictionary, and that's recommended in the style sheet like Merriam-Webster. So
Mhm.
spellings would be consistent. And there are things like EG and IE and the use of earth, how you when you would capitalize it and when you might not. So you might have questions, and maybe those could be answered in the style sheet, but don't feel the need to add anything or anything like that. No, not at
Okay.
all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have the style sheet. I just, yeah, thanks.
This is going on to other issues. I think Megan was trying to, I think, end the thing, but I want to just say one thing as long as we're on the topic. I do like having different voices. I don't think we want, I know that some journals and magazines will want to have sort of the same tone and voice throughout the magazine, but we're addressing things to lots of different people. And so I think that leaving the author's voice in the article is an important thing. You know, that
I agree, but
sometimes-
I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think you could.
Correct,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
and if it doesn't make sense, then I'm sorry, the author's voice needs to be changed because it, you know, there's no
Right.
point in having something that doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yes.
So
And once-
Maggie, were you trying to
once-
wrap us up there?
Oh, I can wrap you up, but I was laughing because one thing that has perplexed me for like 20 years, and I think I finally got to the bottom of it. You know how like in America, the punctuation is inside the quotation, but it looks very awkward with a quote, with a question mark.
Question
Right.
mark.
But
If
the
it-
question mark is
Oh,
outside the quotation.
Yeah.
And I was like, but
Unless it's
nowhere else
part
in the
of the
world.
quotation.
Yeah, it depends on how you're using it.
Yeah, like if the quotation is just part of the sentence, it would be
Right.
inside.
Yeah.
But it was just making me laugh because I was like editing a paper, and that was one thing where I finally saw it in print, what you're supposed to do.
Have you written for a journal that insisted that everything must be in active voice, nothing in
Oh, yeah.
passive? There is
Yeah.
nothing more awkward than having to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's all
yeah.
of getting a PhD, let me tell
Well, and I think as scientists, I was trained more to use a much, I think a lot of my writing is more passive voice, because it's to my way of thinking, it's a more neutral sound. You're trying to sound, you know, neutral. You're not trying to put emotion into it. And so when I write, I tend to write, you know, my writing style is going to be much more passive. And that's the way it is. I just want to show you one thing I just discovered I forgot that I had.
What did it say?
Let's see, but it's very old.
Yeah.
It's 1974.
Holy
When I was
cow.
in high school. So we have something from Nan. I guess Nan, you got in just a little bit late, so I'm going to go through this again. Okay, so I'm going to log off, and I'll show you the sign-in thing again. Okay, so I'm logging off. Okay. And where's my, sorry, you're seeing all my emails here. Aquilegia workspace. Nan, you'll get something that will look like this. You'll have an email that says Aquilegia workspace and then a title on the task. And this will let you know that you have something that has been assigned to you or somebody has asked you a question. And you go down to this little square down or rectangle. It says view task and you click on it. But you're logged out of, I just logged out of ClickUp, so I get this funny little page. It doesn't tell you that you need to log in. It's the wrong type of, it's really the incorrect sort of thing.
All right.
I mean, it should tell you you're not logged in. Please log in before you see this. So now I go back to log in and I log myself back in. Okay, welcome back. And I go back to my email and I say view task. And there the task is right there. So if you forget and you get that whoops page, just remember you need to log in before it'll show you your task.
So in other words, every time you get an error message, before you panic, log in.
Make sure you're logged in.
That's like a good general rule of thumb.
Right. Okay. Any other? Did that, Nan, if that answered your question, please let me know. Or if that did not answer your question, please let me know. And I think Jennifer sort of asked the same thing. And yeah, so Jennifer, yes, you don't need to look through things until you get a notification.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's where it's helpful. I think it is helpful. And Alan, maybe this was one reason why to actually have things moved to a separate section. It's useful for people to correct, Nan. It's useful to I think if we establish that once you start looking at something, you change it to in progress. That lets everybody know that, okay, I have seen this and I'm going to start working on it. And so if I were to come in and say, wow, I haven't seen this article in a while, and I go back and I see that it never got changed to in progress, then I would contact you directly and say, hey, something happened. I assigned this to you and it looks like you haven't looked at it. Is something else going on? Or did you miss it in your email?
Yeah. So as soon as I get a task assigned, I might want to switch it to in progress then?
Correct.
Yeah.
Once you've seen it and you've accessed the articles or access whatever it is you're supposed to be doing.
Got it.
Then change it to in progress.
Okay.
I can do that too. Yay.
Yeah. So
I really am. This is so helpful because it makes so much more sense when you're walking through it with people. So thank you.
Right. Well, good. And, like I said, I'll try to set up these automations so that they work smoothly. But if they don't, be patient with me with this issue and the next one. It may be things may still be a little bit awkward, but we should eventually get it straightened out, and it should make things flow more smoothly and result in less clutter in your inbox, less messages going back and forth, and and a better idea of what's getting done and what isn't getting done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think you're doing a great job. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, I just said I think Kelly's doing a great job with this. Thank you. I would not want to tackle this software.
So,
A whole other universe.
I have a quick question that's relevant, but not directly to what we're doing today. And that is, has anybody heard if Jennifer Eckerfield has a timeline for her next edition of Flora of Colorado?
I checked Amazon on that, and I didn't. They'll often put a date if they know when it's going to be published. A book is going to be published, like a future date. I didn't see anything on it, but that's all.
I didn't. I'm getting ready to teach native plant master classes, and I'm anticipating but dreading the new edition because it's going to change a lot of things. Just like when we moved from Weber to Ackerfield and we had to change all our teaching materials to match. Yeah. Okay. I just wondered.
Maggie, did you have any questions or?
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Kelly, and people remember this video will be available. And you know, I might just break it up into a couple of parts so that it's just easier to manage. But we'll see what happens. And then you can always consult it. And thank you so much. And I'll get my my announcements from the committees and chapters to you right away. And I saw, Kelly, I just had one quick question because you sent me back the like classic biology article, but I didn't think the winter biology of plants had been published.
Oh, right. Oh,
So
maybe
it could be either one.
oh, right. You're right. I apologize. Yeah, maybe I should go back to that winter one.
Well, because I
and we can
thought
save
the
this
one you
for
sent me was
next
already
issue.
published.
Pardon me?
I thought the one you sent me was already published.
No.
Oh, well, there you have it.
Well, but
Hey,
maybe we should do the winter and save this one for the spring. And so we'll have already done work on it.
Woohoo!
Hey, Maggie, will you let us know where you post the video?
Oh, yes, I will send it to you and it'll just be in my YouTube channel. So I'll be sending you a YouTube link.